Welcome to CBN NewsWatch on this Thursday, August 19, 2021. Coming up, many Americans are trapped in Afghanistan, and Afghan women and children are being beaten as they try to flee. We're going to bring you the latest. Plus, a women's magazine pushes the entertainment industry to expand its portrayal of the abortion story.
But it's saying having teen girls have abortions isn't enough to destigmatize this atrocious act. We need to also be promoting parents in film.
This anti-abortion activist pushes back, and we turn to the pain of premature death. See how one organization extends a hand to strengthen parents and spouses left to grieve.
What we do here is what God said in Exodus 22. Listen, hear the voice of the orphan and the widow.
All this and more are coming up next.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
And we begin this half hour in Afghanistan. More than 15,000 Americans are trapped in enemy territory with the U.S. military unable to get them. The Taliban is also publicly beating Afghan women and children who are trying to flee. Aldil Hurd is following the developments.
President Biden says U.S. forces will stay in Kabul until all Americans are evacuated, even if it means extending the August 31st deadline when all U.S. troops are expected to pull out. For now, chaos outside Kabul's airport as thousands of Afghans try desperately to get out of their country. U.S. forces control the airfield, but the Taliban control all roads leading to the airport. Militants have been beating women and children trying to flee. The U.S. Secretary of Defense says Americans in Kabul will have to get to the airport on their own.
We're going to do everything we can to continue to try to deconflict and create passageways for them to get to the airfield. I don't have the capability to go out and extend operations currently into Kabul.
Right now, some 15,000 Americans are trapped behind Taliban lines.
We're going to get everyone that we can possibly evacuate. And I'll do that as long as we possibly can until the clock runs out or we run out of capability.
Meanwhile, General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said even though there was a possibility that the Taliban would gain power after the U.S. pulled out, no one predicted the country would fall so quickly.
There was nothing that I or anyone else saw that indicated a collapse of this army and this government in 11 days.
In his first interview since the fall of Afghanistan, Joe Biden said he wouldn't handle the U.S. withdrawal any differently.
The idea that somehow there's a way to have gotten out without chaos ensuing, I don't know how that happens.
Democrats gave the president their full backing when he announced plans for the unconditional withdrawal. Now some are changing their stance. In a statement, the Democratic chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Senator Bob Menendez, said, quote, "I am disappointed that the Biden administration clearly did not accurately assess the implications of a rapid U.S. withdrawal." Swift and blistering rebukes from Republicans. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell calling the evacuation a botched exit.
All of this is the aftermath of the decision first to withdraw and then to withdraw in a precipitous and incompetent way.
Florida Senator Rick Scott taking it a step further, saying the president should be removed from office, tweeting, "After the disastrous events in Afghanistan, we must confront a serious question. Is Joe Biden capable of discharging the duties of his office, or has time come to exercise the provisions of the 25th Amendment?" Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Turn now to Haiti as recovery efforts continue after that 7.2 magnitude earthquake that hit this weekend. Right now, the death toll is at more than 1,900 with 10,000 people injured. The quake destroyed 7,000 homes and damaged more than 12,000. Right now, 30,000 families are left homeless. Several organizations are providing emergency aid to Haiti. Our very own Operation Blessing is mobilizing to get people on the ground by week's end. A federal appeals court upheld a Texas law outlawing a method commonly used in second trimester abortion procedures. The Texas law seeks to prohibit the use of forceps to remove a fetus from the womb without first using an injected drug or suction procedure, medically known as dilation or evacuation. Abortion rights advocates say the law outlaws this method, which is often the safest for abortion in the second trimester. Speaking of abortions, how do you think the film and television industries portray it? The fashion magazine Marie Claire wants them to depict more parents having abortions. Pro-life advocate Lila Rose spoke about the controversial article with CBN News. She also discussed the future of Roe v. Wade. Our Mark Martin is on this story.
The Marie Claire article complains that film and TV abortion storylines, quote, almost always revolve around single teens, and the fashion mag wants Hollywood to show more parents in those roles. Lila Rose, president of Live Action, calls that position horrific.
It's a real tragedy to see Marie Claire now saying it's not enough. We need to promote more abortion, even to the point where now we need to see parents who already have born children considering an abortion. And that's what this article is about. It's saying having teen girls have abortions isn't enough to destigmatize this atrocious act. We need to also be promoting parents in film who already have other children.
Rose doesn't believe Marie Claire's stance is isolated by any means. She says most mainstream news outlets, television networks, and even big tech companies share the same beliefs.
So it just shows the huge disconnect between elites in this country and everyday Americans who see the humanity of the preborn child and refuse to buy the lie that abortion is empowering.
The 1973 Supreme Court ruling legalizing abortion remains the primary focus on both sides of the fierce debate. Roe v. Wade is now under an even brighter spotlight because the High Court agreed to hear a Mississippi case in its next term involving a law that would ban abortion at 15 weeks. Rose is encouraged by the developments.
I think Mississippi's Attorney General is fantastic. She is a true leader. They are true leaders. The state is fighting to protect children in their state, which is what every state should do. And she's absolutely right. There is no constitutional right to abortion. What is found in the Constitution is the 14th Amendment, which states that no state has the right to deprive the life of any person and that everybody deserves equal treatment under the law. That should extend to all human beings, including children in the womb.
Ultimately, Lila, do you think Roe v. Wade will be overturned?
I think that if we are just and have any intellectual courage and honesty, Roe v. Wade's days are absolutely numbered. It's hard. It's hard for the Supreme Court to say that we were wrong. I mean, that's only happened a small handful of times in our history, but it has happened before. Dred Scott, other cases that have been in the dust, the trash heap of history, because we finally see that this was wrong. We treated human beings as non-persons, and there's no constitutional justification for that.
Rose is passionate about advocating for the unborn, and she's written a book entitled Fighting for Life, Becoming a Force for Change in a Wounded World.
I started my organization at 15. I wish I had had a manual for how to start growing the pro-life movement and finding my mission and calling. And so Fighting for Life is that manual that I wish I had for how we can be a force for good in this world today that so desperately needs people to stand up.
And she says her Christian faith, which she calls the ultimate pro-life story, is behind her mission to make a difference.
I think our faith shows us the sacredness of every human life. Jesus Christ came into the world as an embryo, as an unborn child, and he showed in his weakness and his meekness the beauty and the gift of life, even at an inconvenient or an uncertain time.
Mark Martin, CBN News.
Coming up, China could be using two of America's most trusted allies to steal secrets vital to America. Find out more on this story coming up next.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep. as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug of war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
It's what starts in Israel, then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline Friday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
And here's a quick look at some of the other stories making headlines right now in the CBN newsroom. A grandmother and granddaughter were shot and killed in the parking lot of a factory in Indiana Wednesday afternoon. They were getting ready to begin their shift at the factory when the shots were fired. Police arrested Gary C. Farrell II after a short pursuit. He was also an employee at the factory. Another wildfire erupts in California. The wind-driven wildfire is raging through Lake County, California. It's destroyed dozens of mobile homes within just a few hours. 12,000 people were ordered to flee, and at least one person is injured. North Carolina endured massive flooding and power outages in the area because of the remnants of Tropical Storm Fred. Right now, nearly 36 people are missing in one county. Two counties saw up to 12 inches of rain overnight and may have risen from 3 to 7 feet in some areas. Governor Roy Cooper declared a state of emergency here. Communist China is on the move, doing all it can to steal secrets vital to U.S. national security interests. On this week's episode of The Global Lane, the chief technology officer for the Revitron company alleges the CCP is using two of America's most trusted allies as a backdoor to funnel U.S. military technology to Beijing.
You allege that China's using Japan and Taiwan as a backdoor to steal technology vital to U.S. national defense. You talk about a network of powerful Chinese communist families, the so-called Green Gang or Bamboo Network, and their family members that are operating in Taiwan and Japan. Give us an example in Japan. How are they stealing U.S. secrets and technology?
There are two extraordinary examples. First, and there's a Green Gang front-end company. They disguise their name as a Taiwan. People think Taiwan is against China. So we talk to the Japanese government about this company. They're going to take over the most important company called the Panasonic Semiconductor, but we cannot stop it. Now they are controlling even our F-35 and Japan F-15, the radar chips. This is one example.
And it's not just spying, it's outright theft, too. You mentioned the chips. Less than 2 years ago, the Trump administration brought indictments against the Huawei company for allegedly stealing robotic technology from T-Mobile. Tell us how the CCP is using Huawei, and also explain how corporate relationships are affecting the semiconductor chip shortage, especially for the F-15 in Japan.
And a lot of people doesn't know Huawei is not a company. This is an organization. And Huawei has been working with TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Corporation, Manufacturing Corporation, for a long time. And this is the most important ally. So they are very smart because they are from the same family. If you look at 50 or 70 years ago, actually, they're from the same family, they're from the same neighborhood. And this is the way how Chinese run their business. So Huawei very smartly knows how to use Taiwanese company to infiltrate the industry to get information out.
And you were a victim of that, and we're going to talk a little later to the journalist who's covering this about that. And it's not just Japan. Tell us about those three pillars shaping China's IT industry, how it was used in Taiwan to steal those secrets about the most advanced U.S. fighter jet, the F-35.
And people are not familiar with the China so-called unrestricted warfare, because their target is not only the government. Their target is the citizen, it's you and me. Because in the industry, in reality, a lot of creations come from the small entities, from the mid-sized companies, not just big one. And China hack into the Facebook, everyone will think that's very big news. But if China hack into computer, you talk to anyone, people will say that's really happened. But that's how the China strategy, because in the industry, a lot of small companies, we create something because we can share the risk. Also, we have more freedom to do things. So we are the target for those companies, and from the TSMC, from the Huawei, and they know how to attack us because we are vulnerable.
And that not only affects business, but also our everyday lives. So why should the average American then be concerned about this happening right under our noses? Two of our top allies being used as a conduit for CCP spying and theft.
Because, and people doesn't understand, they think the CCP issue is just for government, just for big corporations. Actually, it's not. It's for every one of the American, because they are a very different concept. This is a regime, they have no interest to come to the battlefield to fight with the US forces. But they want to infiltrate our society because they know once they control us, we are the majority, then they can control the US government, they can control the society, they can control everything here.
And what should we do about it, Jason?
It's very tough because, and I'm trying to do my best to explain people and to understand the CCP strategy, because myself, I'm example, I'm the creator, I invented many important technologies, but on the other hand, I'm a small one, but I'm still keep surviving. So if I can fight with the CCP, no matter what kind of tools they use to torture me, but I still survive, I think that's the important message can deliver to people. As long as we fight, as long as we stand up, understand we are on the justice side, then we can win this war.
Okay, Jason Ho, Chief Technology Officer of Revitron, lead designer for the F-35 flight control and image display systems. Thank you, Jason, for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
And for more from the Global Lane, be sure to check it out this evening at 8:30 Eastern. You can find it on the CBN News Channel and, of course, at the CBN News app. Still ahead, it's an organization providing a safe place for grieving widows and orphans. See how they're showing true compassion to those in desperate need. Stay with us.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
Administering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
A premature death threatens the stability of a family and leaves an emotional hole for those left behind to grieve that loss. In Israel, one organization is reaching out to these suffering people using the Bible as their guide. Here's Chris Mitchell.
Once a week, this home is filled with kids playing, parents meeting, and volunteers helping. It's called Amitzim, which in Hebrew means the brave. The goal of Amitzim is to fulfill the biblical mandate found in the scriptures to embrace and strengthen the widows and orphans. About 12,000 families in Israel have suffered the death of a parent.
What we do here is what God said in Exodus 22. Listen, hear the voice of the orphan and the widow. And God says, I hear their voice. You listen to their voice. And this is our obligation.
Hadass Glick began this effort several years ago. Her husband died in 2001 from a stroke. Yehuda's wife died in 2018, and later he and Hadass married. Now this former widow and widower reach out to these families in need.
We understand how strong of a power and effect a father means to his children, a mother means for her children, and so we come to give a hand and to strengthen, but not to replace.
Netanel has been a widower for 3.5 years.
I quickly understood that this was a place where they spoil us. They have, good fruit and food cut out for us. We don't have to work because we're on 24/7. When you're raising 3 children on your own, you don't really get any time to rest. And I could sit down and my kids wouldn't be on top of me as they are all the time. It was a place where I could rest. And then I found that it wasn't just a place where I could rest. It was a place where I could be amongst peers, amongst people that have had a similar experience to mine, which provides a sort of safety.
My husband passed away 2 years ago. We have 2 daughters, one 8 and one 6 years old. We got to know the Amitzim Club. It's really good for us here. They take care of us. They provide for us. It's really encouraging that there is a group of widows and widowers here that together, once a week, help each other. I'm really happy that I met Yehuda and Hadass. They are, for me, simply amazing people.
Trained volunteers serve hot meals and love.
They open the heart. They come to open the heart. They come to get warm from us, from all the volunteers here. We come every Wednesday, meet the people. We know them. We know their names. We ask if they are not coming. They're surprised if we call. Why didn't you come last week? Oh, this week I will come. I will come this week. And they are very happy from this place.
13-year-old Hila lost her mother 2 years ago to cancer. For her and her dog Louie, it's a safe place.
It's nice to be in the company of equals.
And what's your favorite activity here?
The chatting.
It helps the people here that Hadass and Yehuda clearly know the devastating loss of a spouse.
When we see these orphans and widows, and I just sit around and talk to them, they're alone, nobody remembers them. And here is somebody who's caring for them and remembering them, and it gives them strength. You can't believe. Then they go back home and they're like a new person.
We realize that when you don't have a father or you don't have a mother, the home needs support. What we're doing here is making a new concept, rebuilding the Torah words into reality.
They look to Isaiah the prophet who said, "Learn to do good, seek justice, rebuke the oppressor, defend the fatherless, plead for the widow." Glick feels the goals of Amitzim go hand in hand with the Shalom Jerusalem Foundation that he founded. It seeks to build up Jerusalem and increase Jewish access to the Temple Mount.
The Bible refers to an orphan, but always says the orphan and the widow. It says when you're celebrating with me your holiday at the temple, include the orphan and the widow. When you're bringing your harvest, don't forget to include the orphan and the widow.
Hadass and Yehuda hope to establish 10 centers like this one throughout Israel. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Amitzim Center, Jerusalem.
Coming up, a free grocery store opens up in Kansas and the story behind a riding wave. It's all next, right here on CBN NewsWatch.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Before we go, we want to take you to a grocery store that is free to anyone in need. It is the newest food pantry that's just opened up in Wyandotte County, Kansas. Organizers say Cross Lines Community Market works on a point system. Families come in, shop for the things they want, and leave things they don't want using the points they can spend. The market gets about 75 families a day visiting. Everyone is invited to ride the waves on Lake Quinsigamon in Massachusetts, no matter the age or disability. With donations and volunteers, the nonprofit Webster Water Ski Collective runs a program using adaptive skis and special equipment to help anyone with any disability to be able to ride around the lake. How nice. Time now for your Thursday Thankful. I hope you'll join me in this prayer of gratitude today. God, thank you for what I thought were unanswered prayers. You know what is best for me, and you are always working for my good and for your glory. Amen and amen. With that prayer, I encourage you to make this day a thankful Thursday. May it be filled with gratitude at every single turn. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. You can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel or by downloading the CBN News app and, of course, at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories here. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. Thank you for watching. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.